Well, this is Carlos Harlow, and I have the pleasure of interviewing gospel singing sensation Candy West. And I'll let you tell our listeners here a little bit about yourself as well.
Okay. Just let me know when. We ready? Yes. Hi, I'm Candy West, and I'm a Dallas native, and I am a singer, songwriter, worship leader, producer, business owner, mother, sister, friend, the list goes on and on.
Wow. Cool. All right, well, I'm pulling questions up. First thing, I do have to say that I love your single, Turnaround.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. It is wonderful. I've been putting it on repeat. Like, I got some things that I'm waiting to be turned around on, so it's just a right on time song, and I love it. And do you mind sharing with us what inspired you to write that song?
Well, I started writing the song a few weeks before the live recording, and just, when I was asking God for songs for the record, I wanted songs that were relative to our experience and were relatable to things that we go through, but always offered the solution, because we do go through things. We go through challenges in life. We have things that we lay before God. We have things that we need God to change and that we need to change in our lives. And when you put them before God and you place them in His hands, that's the best place for our situations, our circumstances, our issues. And when you do place it in God's hands, there is always a turnaround of sorts. So that was really the inspiration of writing the song. The lyrics began to come to me, and it began to take shape. And I heard there are a couple other co-writers on the song, and we had done a open mic on a Monday night, and this artist from the East Coast came, and he did this hook. And he was saying, "Turn around, it's coming soon. Turn around, it's coming soon." And I was like, "Oh my God!" I just started writing a song called "Turn Around." So I talked to him. I was like, "Do you mind if I use, that little hook that you were singing the other night?" Because I started writing "Turn Around." I think they will, work really well together. So he said, "Yeah." I gave him writer's credit, and the rest is history.
Wow, that's amazing. That's nothing but God right there. Wow, that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yes. And as I mentioned earlier, I did see you perform at one community church for New Year's Eve, and you did an amazing job there. I really loved it, really enjoyed it. And with you being in the music business for so long and ministering for so long, does it feel easier for you every time, or do you still get nervous, or is it really a fresh experience every time, or how is that like for you?
Time, because I've never been a solo artist or really pursued it in real life, so I feel like I'm on a real life journey in a different way. I've been in the industry for a long time, but it's been plug and play, show up and sing, not having to be responsible for schedules or, what I do when I get there, and now having to be more hands-on in this part of my journey and have a greater idea of what it is I want to do, what it is I can do, and even those things that I can't accept at that time. So having a lot more space. So it's a totally different part of my journey. And so it feels fresh to me. It feels totally new. I feel like a new artist that has a little edge and experience. Like I've been able to get a sneak peek of what it takes to be successful. And now I can apply that to this part of my journey.
Wow. Okay, well, and for those that don't know who are listening, you've worked with, as a background vocalist and a writer for so many artists. I mean, it would take forever for me to name them all, but Kirk Franklin, and you've worked with Myron Butler and Levi, Donald Lawrence, Mary, Brandy. I mean, the list just goes on and on with the people that you've worked with. And what would you say is the major difference for you for being a background vocalist and then now transitioning to a solo artist, and then what also basically sparked your interest in music from the beginning?
Well, I will start with the last question. And I grew up singing. I grew up in a musical family. My mom was a singer. Grandfather was a preacher. My father was in the music business. So it was something that I feel like was a inevitable gift that was given to me. And as a little girl, my mom pushed us to sing. You know, we had to be the choir. We had to, there weren't praise teams back in the day growing up. So we were the choir. Sometimes just me and my siblings, but we had to carry the sound. So being a lead singer, having to sing soprano, alto, tenor, at any given point, that really helped to groom me. And then as I grew up and became a teenager, given opportunities to sing with community choirs, connecting with Linda Seawright, who lived 2 doors down from my grandfather. And we would go over to her house and play church with her kids. And we basically grew up together. So music was always around us, whether we were in church or out of church. It was just something that was a part of our lifestyle. So like I said, again, it was just something inevitable that I probably wouldn't have been able to escape. It probably would have come back around some other way, no matter what I would have done with my life. So, and then, as far as the difference for me between singing background and being an artist is the level of responsibility that comes along with it. When you're a background singer, you have to be accountable to be on time and to learn your music and to, make sure that your craft is sharp to keep up with the times and to keep up with the demands and the expectations of the artist. But being an artist and leading your vision in this regard is totally different because the level of responsibility is greater. The level of accountability is greater because now people are taking a more in-depth look at your life. And, every move that you make, people are watching you when you don't even know it. I can barely go anywhere, and especially when I'm here in Dallas. And it's so surprising. A few weeks ago, my sister and I were in LA getting our nails done, and I was going to go pick my nail color, and the lady sitting at the front was like, "Where do I know you from?" Mind you, I'm in Los Angeles.
Right.
She was like, "Where do I know you from?" And I was like, I don't know, because I get that question a lot. So I'm just like, I try to, play the I don't know where you know me
right.
thing. And she was just like, "What church do you go to?" And I told her the Potter's House of Dallas. And she said, "That's it." She said, "I watch you on Sunday mornings and you bless me so much." Mind you, we're in Los Angeles, California, states away from Dallas, and it happens. I was in D.C. hanging out with some friends and was in this particular place, and my friend was cutting hair, and one of his clients was like, "Was that Candy West in the barbershop today?" And I'm just like, "Are you serious?" So you just don't know who's watching you, and like people are taking a more in-depth look at your lifestyle, what you do when you're off the stage, how you carry yourself when you're off the stage. So it is a lot more responsibility.
Right. Wow. Okay. Well, I think that to say that with your debut solo album coming, that it's really an understatement to say that people have really been waiting for this. I've been waiting for it, and a lot of your fans, I think, have been waiting for this for so long. So what would you say, what was that defining moment for you that really sparked in your mind and said, okay, this is the time and this is when I need to pursue this?
Oh, the defining moment for me was right after MegaFest in 2015, which was in August, and I started praying. I just felt like I had a great time. It was a great week for me, and I began to pray like, "Lord, okay, what's next? What do I need? What do I need to be doing for me in my music and the ministry for me?" And that's when the vision to do the recording, my live recording, was birthed. And I really tried to bargain with God, like, let me do it in 2015. I can plan. I'll have more time. And that's just not how the Lord works. He's the master of the impossible. And so it happened. It went off without a hitch. It was amazing. And like I said, for me, that was a defining moment, coming off the cusp of MegaFest, having an amazing week, making some amazing connections, and just really praying, okay, God, I was able to do that and do that well because I sang with Grace, the group that signed to Bishop Jakes. I'm a member of that group, and, we sang during MegaFest, and like I said, it was a great week for us, a very successful week. Ministry was effective and all that, and it was great, but like I said, I was just looking for a little bit more for me. And one thing led to another after prayer, and that's how the record was birthed. And now we're preparing for a full out launch of the record, and I'm really excited about it.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, all right. Well, can you give us? Are there any hints or anyone that you've worked with on this album, or written with, or producers that we can expect to hear from on the album? And then also, is it going to be a mix of live and studio tracks, or is it just strictly going to be live? Or
well, the record will be 95% live. It'll be 95% live. Whatever happened that night at the recording, you will really get the full essence of that on the record. The record is produced by myself, Deanna Cook, and Myron Butler. And I wrote about 5 songs on the record, so kind of wrote half the record, and had some other writers. No surprises as far as I know right now. My guy can move really quickly, but there are no surprises. It's really just Candy West live, praise, worship, and inspiration, and that's really, a body of work that really expresses who I am, where I am, and where just giving people a different look at me from an artist perspective and from a leadership perspective. So I really believe that people will enjoy it and be impacted by the ministry that's on this record.
Right. Yes, I've definitely, like I said, I've been definitely blessed by your single, by Turnaround, and then seeing you minister at One. So I'm so excited about this album, as I'm sure everyone else is too. So I can't wait for it. Do you know when, approximately when we can expect to go and purchase it?
Absolutely. Well, of course, the single Turnaround is available now digitally everywhere. But the record, the full project, we're projecting our August release for the project. We really want to just make the most of our timing and, really get the most out of the time that the single is out, and giving people an opportunity to grab it and make it a personal mantra of their life, that God's going to turn it around. And then we'll hit them with all this other good music that's on the record in August. So it'll definitely be a late summer release.
Wow. Okay. Looking forward to it. And I know you mentioned that you're in the group Grace as well. So how does that work as far as you being in that group and then also pursuing your solo endeavors? Will you be taking a hiatus from the group, or will you still be performing with them as well, or how does that work?
It's more of a balancing act. Like even now, between Grace dates and personal dates, I just have to really use wisdom in my scheduling and make sure that whatever I'm doing, personally, and whatever things in me come up with Grace, like I said, it's really checks and balances for me. I foresee there may be a moment where I may have to take a hiatus from the group. I don't know, but we're really just taking it one moment, 1 month at a time, because who knows what God's going to do with this music and with the ministry that He's given me. I don't want to be pretentious and be like, oh, I'm leaving the group, and I don't know what God's going to do.
Right.
So I just want to use wisdom and, like I said, checks and balances, and take it one moment at a time, and believe that wherever I'm supposed to be, I will be there.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, was there a certain sound that you targeted once you realized, okay, I'm going to go in and start writing these songs for the solo album? And the reason why I asked that is because I think with gospel music, and even just music in general, a lot of the genres are really so meshed together now. I mean, you hear jazz and gospel, you hear hip hop, a little bit of rock, there's everything in there. So, and also, do you feel a certain pressure to incorporate some of those sounds in your music, or is it more just organic, whatever you come up with and then just go with that?
I would totally say it's organic. We didn't go after a particular sound. Now, I would say we went after a particular style. Being that I'm a worship leader and, I'm known for what I do, at the Potter's House, and when I'm blessed to travel and go other places. And I wanted to make sure that this particular project, now the next record will probably be different, but this particular project, I wanted to make sure that it mirrors where I am in my life right now. You know, like I said, as a worship leader, I didn't want to give people an urban album, knowing good and well that that's not a path that I want to take with my music and my ministry. I don't consider myself an urban artist. I can do urban music. I've recorded urban music, but this record again, I wanted us to target, something that, stuff that I could actually do and minister, from a women's conference to a Sunday morning service to, going into the children's home and singing a song of inspiration to them. I wanted to make sure that this record was reflective of where I am in my life.
Right. Okay. Wow. Okay. And I do have a question for you in regards to crowdfunding, and I just want to get your opinion about it. And this is a question that I bring up a lot now in interviews, because we see so much of it now, particularly with musicians and artists. There's Layla Hathaway has done one. Naughty by Nature just did one. TLC, De La Soul. And do you think that this is something that is possible in the gospel realm? And what are your thoughts on it in general?
I don't have a problem with crowdfunding. I feel like if you do have a strong fan base, a good support system, and you're comfortable with doing crowdfunding, as long as you appropriate those funds for what you intended it for, I think that it's a good avenue, a platform to help raise funds to, release your art or release your music. So I think that it's a good platform. For gospel music, I feel like sometimes, what I've seen when people do crowdfunding, and sometimes being able to raise the money is a little slower than they may have intended. So it takes a lot longer. I didn't particularly go with crowdfunding when I did this project, though. That was one of the first things I prayed about. Like, okay, Lord, how am I going to pay for this project? Right. But it was really something that God, when I tell you, God provided from, where it was. I mean, and I owe no man, nothing. I'm totally in the black. So I'm very, very grateful for that. So I didn't have to do crowdfunding, for my project, for this particular project. But, for those that want to use it, have a strong fan base, and can, use it to help them, really produce a quality project, then I say go for it. It's not particularly for me, because God has provided, and I had a good enough resource pool where I was able to reach out to some people and say, hey, I'm working on this recording. If there's anything that you could do to help me financially to support this vision, and sending out professional letters, those are things that you can do. And if people really believe in your ministry, they will sow. And that's exactly what happened. People that believe in the ministry, they sowed, whether it was large or small, every seed helped to produce the project and to make it come to life. So.
Wow. And I think you mentioned a very good point about it's okay as long as people know and that it's going towards that project, and that it's basically in good faith, because I've supported a few crowdfunding projects, and even with some of those artists that I just mentioned. And I think sometimes the frustration with some people with crowdfunding, and I even did one too for a novel that I wrote last year, but is when people don't deliver what they said they were in that time frame. Because I've done a couple, and it says, okay, you'll get the album in September or whenever, and then September is come and gone, or maybe the end of August, it's like, okay, we're pushing it back, and then it's like sometimes a year later, and you still don't have this product that you pledged towards.
Yeah. And I can understand that, because being in this process, there are things that come up.
Right.
From mixing, mastering, packaging, all of those things can delay the release of a project. Or maybe, if there's a delay with the project, that artist may have been approached about having distribution opportunities, and with distribution opportunities, you don't want to shoot the gun too soon on releasing the project when you may have help, that will extend your reach beyond, what your ability and what your limitations may be. So I totally understand how that can cause delays or hindrances, especially when the artist is doing what the intent was for the crowdfunding. So I can understand that side of it. And I can also understand the frustration of a person that sows the seed or puts money towards the crowdfunding, because I have also, put money into crowdfunding for artists or solo artists or people that I know that are really working towards something and they still have yet to release something. But I'm like, hey, as I'm giving from my heart, then whatever they choose to do with you want them to do the right thing. You want them to be able to release some music in a very timely manner. But I totally understand. I get it.
Right. Okay. Well, just, I guess you could say semi-personal question. What is one thing about you that your fans may be shocked to know? There's something that maybe you never shared. It could be something funny, whatever. Maybe a hobby that you like. But what's one thing about you that many people may not know?
Well, one thing I could say, when I graduated high school, I was going to go to college and study criminal justice or something, because I wanted to become a FBI agent, like something totally opposite end of music. I wanted to do something that was just different. And I was really interested in becoming part of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Like, seriously, like real life CSI, real life NCIS. Like, seriously, like I really that was a desire of mine. And obviously God trumped that, because about a year later, God's property blew up and I was on the road and never turned back. So obviously that was just a very flighty dream of mine, that people, when I say that, they're like, what?
Yes,
and I almost got recruited into the Marines, like my senior year in high school. It was like around my end of my junior year, going into my senior year. The Marines started courting me to go into the Marines. So I was almost G.I. Jane, like, seriously. So,
wow.
People get a kick out of that. Like, man, like, there is no way I can see you as a Marine or FBI agent. Like, quit dreaming, like, or whatever. But so I think that people usually get a kick when I tell them that. They get a kick out of that.
Wow, that is amazing. I could see the FBI part, but yeah, I must admit, I wouldn't be able to see Marines. Yeah. And I only say that because when I see you and I follow you on Instagram and Twitter, I mean, your pictures are beautiful. So and not to say that, you can't be pretty and in the Marines, not to say that, but it's just, just from looking at you and looking at your pictures, that is a shock. I couldn't really picture that.
Yes, I love the shock factor.
Yes. Okay. And I do have one last question for you. And that question is, if you could pick one song, whether it's a song that sums up how you're feeling at the moment, or even a song that you say, okay, this song really speaks to me and it really tells my life. It really tells my life story. What would that song be and why?
Oh, boy. It's so many different songs that, just speak to different parts of my life, from a spiritual aspect, relational aspect with God. I think I Can Only Imagine is one of those songs that just, really pulls on my heartstrings, because I really feel like it speaks to my heart, in what I feel like I'll, experience when I get to see God face to face, because that's what this life and this journey is about. And so I Can Only Imagine, from a Christian music perspective, I feel like really reflects my heart. I have some songs that are favorites of mine that I love, and it just love. If you ask me what's one of my favorite songs in the whole wide world, I Can't Make You Love Me by Bonnie Raitt is one of my favorite songs in the whole wide world. It's just, I mean, just nice. From the lyrics to the heart of the song, it just takes you to a place, you know, and even if your relationship is in a good place, that song is just like, man, these are some real life lyrics, like right. Seriously. And one of my favorite writers, R&B writers, is Luther Vandross. Like, you go back and listen to songs that Luther Vandross had written, or even remix that he had done. Like, those lyrics, I'm a stickler for lyrics. You know, I love a good song, like a real life song beyond the melody, but lyrical content. I am a super fan of lyrical content. And so Luther is one of those writers that I felt like was really underrated. And you know, people didn't look at Luther as a songwriter. They just looked at him as a performer and an artist, but he was an incredible songwriter, as well. And so any of Luther's stuff, it, you know, is a win for me. And of course there are other artists that I love and enjoy: Stevie Wonder, Donny Hathaway, Aretha Franklin. I love Layla Hathaway. Babyface is another one of my favorite writers. R. Kelly is another one of my favorite R&B writers. And then, you know, I could get into the gospel and go on and on and on. But
wow, that is amazing. Yeah, and that's a really good point that you bring up about Luther Vandross too, because I have to admit, even with me, that I do think of him as more of a singer, but he has written some amazing songs. You know, some of the best R&B songs, or songs period, really. That we've seen. But that's true. Yeah, a lot of people think of him more as a vocalist or a performer. That's true.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Well, thank you again, Candy, so much for taking time out to do this interview with me. I really, really appreciate it, and it will be posted next week. I'll have it out there next week, and it'll be on Dallas Black. And it'll also be on my website as well, which is Poetic Expressions. So I'll have it on both of those. And I'll do part of it, I'll transcribe conversation. And then also part of it will be an audio file that I'll upload to YouTube.
Okay, awesome.
Yes. And I'll make sure to send the links, though, to Randall before it actually gets posted. But just to review it.
That would be awesome.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. And anything else that you want to share with us, or tell us about the album, or any other dates that you may have coming up where you'll be ministering at?
Well, I have a slew of things happening between now and the release of the record, but you can catch me on The Passion. I'll be one of the choir singers. There will be a television cast, Easter production. It's kind of like The Wiz, but it's an Easter production called The Passion. I believe it will air on NBC. And I'll be one of the background vocalists for that, which is a really, really big deal, because there's some amazing artists, singers and performers and actors that'll be a part of that production, some who's who of Hollywood. So I'm really excited. That's a big deal. It's a great opportunity, and I definitely want people to tune in and watch The Passion. And I believe it will air Easter Sunday. It may.
You've been waiting for a breakthrough, and it feels like it just won't come. You've been praying for a miracle, and it feels like it's taking too long. You've been